All right. Sorry, I forgot to start recording this to upload later to YouTube. So we are now reading. Where were we? We were reading this appeal. Defendant, they sent numerous electronic messages about the plan. In these messages, Gysy asked Nick about the items that he needed in order to commit the crime. He chose a weapon for the crime and also told Gysy that he wanted duct tape to muffle Dee Dee. Nick texted Gysy as he traveled from his home in Wisconsin to Springfield, Missouri. And then he informed her when he had arrived. On the night of the crime, Gysy texted Nick and told him that Dee Dee had taken her sleeping pill. On June 10th at 2:07 in the morning, Nick texted Gysy informing her he had arrived at her house, telling her to get into the bathroom. After entering the home and making sure that Gysy was in the bathroom, Nick waited a minute and thought about if he really wanted to do it. After the crime, I guess I could say murder. After the schmurder, as some people call it, Nick and Gysy went back to Nick's home in Wisconsin. On June 14, 2015, authorities discovered Dee Dee's body laying on her bed. Dee Dee died as a result of 14 wounds to her back. After the authorities identified Nick as a suspect, AM of the Greene County Sheriff's, Detective M, we're going to call him. Detective M traveled to Wisconsin to interview Nick. Nick waived his Miranda rights and he made a statement in which he admitted to taking Dee Dee's life. Now, Nick was charged with first degree and armed criminal action. Meanwhile, he was waiting for trial. While he was waiting for trial, he also made statements about the crime to a journalist. Dr. F for the defense and Dr. D for the state examined Nick prior to trial, and then they testified at trial. Their testimony established that Nick had autism spectrum disorder and an IQ on the low side of average, but he could read and he did graduate from high school. The jury found Nick guilty on both counts, and the trial court sentenced him to life in prison without parole for first degree and a concurrent term of 25 years in prison for the armed criminal action. So basically, guys, in a nutshell, what this is saying is that what we already know, that Gysy planned everything. He kind of second guessed himself. He wasn't sure if he wanted to do it. There were a couple of doctors that examined him, and then they had found him guilty. Now we're gonna breeze through some of this. Like I said, I'm not going through all of it. I just wanted to go through the first couple of pages because this is what they're arguing in court. So the first point they're arguing is that the courts abused this discretion by excluding testimony from Nick's psychological expert, Dr. F, regarding the effect of autism spectrum disorder, the effect that it had on his ability to deliberate at the time of the offense. So in English, that just means that the court refused to allow this doctor's testimony. And that testimony was basically going to say that his autism spectrum, it had something to do with whether or not he can actually form certain thoughts and deliberate what he wasn't going to do at the time of the offense. In the second point, they argued that the court abused its discretion when it allowed the state to call Dr. D as a rebuttal. So the examination that Dr. D conducted prior to trial was not authorized. With respect to both of these points, they argue that it was prejudice because his primary defense was lack of deliberation due to his ASD. Let's put this in layman's terms. They were going to use the ASD as a defense. His doctor, Dr. F, was supposed to testify about that ASD. The courts didn't allow Nick's doctor to testify on that front, but allowed the states to come in with their doctor and say, none of this is true. It's X, Y, and Z, but yet his initial exam, the state's initial exam, was a violation of law. So Dr. D was never allowed to actually examine Nick. And yet they allowed the exam, and then on top of that, allowed him to testify while limiting Nick's doctor's testimony. Real quick, let me Hold on, guys. I am just looking at the settings for my comments because they come in different on my end than they do for you guys. Give me 1 second, y'all. I am just pulling up. I want to be able to see the comments when I come back and forth, but again, my comments, they don't show up the same way. There we go. I think that what they're pushing for, Deanne, is not necessarily for Nick to get out right now. They want a new trial. So ultimately what they are arguing is they want to get him only tried on a second degree and not a first degree. With a second degree, yes, Nick can get out. The appeal, I believe, is for a new trial. A new trial on second and not first. Let's go ahead and just double check that. So there's overwhelming evidence showing that any alleged error, hold on, an admission of testimony was harmless beyond a reasonable doubt and therefore not so prejudicial that it deprived him of a fair trial. Defendant, okay, Nick and Gysy discussed the proposed crime for a period of over a year. Let's go to the next page. In addition to rejecting alternative courses of actions, they communicated about what type of equipment defendant would need, including the knife, duct tape. There were also text messages between Nick and Gysy during his traveling. Finally, Nick admitted to both the detective and a reporter that he stopped to think about it immediately prior to committing it. Under these circumstances, the result of the trial would not have been different if Dr. F had testified. So basically the state is trying to say that they don't feel that the outcome would have been any different if this doctor would have been able to testify. So what they're saying is that Nick was also denied effective assistance of counsel and a fair trial, due process. He was subjected to cruel and unusual punishment in violation of his rights under the 5th, 6th, 8th, and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution. In that his trial counsel failed to fully investigate and present any evidence from a qualified neuropsychologist specializing in autism spectrum disorder in order to support a diminished capacity defense. They failed to exercise the customary skill and diligence that a reasonably competent attorney would have exercised under similar conditions or circumstances. Nick was prejudiced as a result in that had counsel not been ineffective, there's a reasonable probability that he would not have been convicted of first degree or armed criminal action and would not have been sentenced to life without probation and parole plus 25 years. In a nutshell, all that's saying is that his counsel was not effective. They should have argued for diminished capacity based on what he understood and didn't understand when it came to his ASD. They did not do that. They didn't do the proper research. They didn't get a neuropsychological exam. They didn't do any of that stuff. Asperger's in and of itself, according to this, is not even a I think it's called a DS5. It's on the, somebody can correct me. I guess it's not one of these diagnoses that is independent. It kind of falls under autism. And so having a neuropsychologist, all these big words, to try to do something for him and actually examine him, they would have been able to interpret that differently to the jury. Gee, I haven't been on very long. 15 minutes maybe. We just started with the Nicholas Godejohn case. So I think it's called DSM-5. Let me go down here and let's see. The motion alleges that Dr. F was not a specialist, did not have much practical experience with autism. The state argued that Dr. F is not qualified to testify as an expert on this case at a pretrial offer of proof. So let's see. They pointed out that unlike a specialist with practical experience, Dr. F could not explain how Mr. Godejohn's diagnosis would affect his ability to deliberate. On the other hand, a neuropsychologist with experience in autism would have explained to the jury that Gypsy's manipulation of Nicholas over 2.5 years combined with Nick's ASD Asperger's, which would have negated Mr. Godejohn's ability to deliberate. A specialist would have explained that Nick's condition caused him to surrender his deliberation to Gypsy's logic because he took her statements as there's not a comma there. He took her statements as literal facts when she said that taking her mother's life was the only way they could be together and that it was up to him to rescue her. They explained that a neuropsychologist specializing in ASD would have also rebutted Dr. D's testimony that Mr. Godejohn grew out of autism into Asperger's, that he had a very mild form of the condition, which is misleading because mild refers to a person's superficial socialness to mask. Okay, so let's break this down in English. Are you guys hearing what I'm reading and what the argument here is? What they're saying is that Nick surrendered to Gysy. Gysy basically kept manipulating him over years, saying the only way we can be together is if you take my mother's life. And that this manipulation was so severe that he gave up to her. Like, it became literal fact in his mind. In his mind, there wasn't no maybe this, maybe that. It became a fact. The manipulation was so intense that he truly thought that this was it. Like, this is the only way. It would never happen. And so he basically submitted to her. And she manipulated him to the point to make sure that he had submitted to her. Do you guys see who is the perpetrator in this and who seems to be more of a victim? Because it definitely doesn't seem to be Gysy. And then the state, Dr. D, the state's doctor kept saying that he outgrew autism. How do you don't outgrow autism. You don't outgrow it. It doesn't start at autism and later lead into Asperger's. That's not how this works. And so they're saying that a specialist who does this, who actually deals with autism, would have been able to rebut this. But his attorneys never got him this exam. They never got a specialist in. They never did any of that. So he did not have a fair chance at all. He had no chance at trial. They just painted him as a normal person with some mild form of Asperger's. Basically, what they're saying is that he was very low on the spectrum. And he could do everything and he had full cognitive function and was not easily manipulated and all this stuff. None of that is true. None of it was true. So based on all of this, I'm going to be honest, guys. I would be really, really, really surprised if Nick does not get a new trial. I'm seeing a new trial coming up. I'm seeing this going in his favor. There is a very thin line here. And I think the state crossed it. And I think the courts made a huge error when they did not allow for certain things to happen. So it looks to me like we might be seeing a new trial in the future with new testimony, which is not going to get him on a first degree. And with him being on a second degree, with a chance for parole, he very well could get out. Or if there was diminished capacity in some sort, they could have also sentenced him to a facility, a mental health facility, where he could be getting the help to be able to become a productive member of society again. At this point, he does have some attorneys, Ashley, who looks like they're going to fight for him. No, Gysy Rose will not. It's double jeopardy. No matter what, she can come right out now and say, I participated in it. And they're not going to give her new charges. She was already charged, and that's the end of it. They can't recharge her. She's done. Unfortunately. There's nothing that they can do. She could turn around and say, he only did it 4 times and I did it 10. There may be different charges, but when it comes to the actual ending of Dee Dee's life, no. I don't foresee that happening, you know, but we live in a world right now where so many things in the legal system have been changing. Nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing. Until she does it again, yeah. Or until she becomes the perpetrator, God forbid does it to her child or somebody else, even her current husband, and then, oh, but it was all because of what happened to me. This girl knew what she was doing, and she masterminded and manipulated this kid to make sure that he did what she wanted him to do, and then walked away from it. This is why people don't like her. This is why people are starting to open up their eyes when it comes to her. So, you guys, in my drive, I think if she admits to doing all of it, then that's going to help his case. Remember, they still charged her with second degree. The only difference between that and first is whether or not I guess it's like her mens rea, that she planned it and then committed it. Either way, the second degree says that she committed it. Based on her charge, it's as if she committed it. Even though she didn't actually do it, she was still kind of charged with it. And they're not going to amend her sentence. Now, it is very possible if there's some stuff that comes to light, maybe they could pull her parole if she manipulated and lied or something like that. I'm not too familiar with parole, I'm not going to lie. So technically she already served her time and there's nothing anybody can do. It's just a done deal with her. But the only thing that can happen is that it would help Nick. Yeah. So this is, yes, you know what, Margie? This is one of those cases I'm really, really surprised that she got less time than him. Really surprised. I am and I'm not. I think the only reason is because they took into consideration the life that she lived. And at the end of the day, when you get charged with something, you're supposed to leave all of that out of it. She's supposed to get sentenced based on that, but it didn't happen. The only thing I can't get past is that she's been manipulated by her mother. She has been. The thing is that I'm curious how much manipulation, yes. She did the same thing to Nick. So why didn't Nick also get a lighter sentence? And manipulated and being forced to pretend versus actually being physically harmed, I think are two different things. And while it is a defense, I think it's also a defense for him as well. And I think ultimately that's what we need to focus on. There's nothing we can do about Gysy. I think we need to focus on how much of this can help Nick. She is a master manipulator, yep. So, you guys, when we do the Ariana case, that one is going to take the longest because there's a lot to uncover. So, real quick, we're going to go ahead and cover the other two cases because those are going to be a lot quicker. The next one I want to tell you guys is the Delphi case. So, whoever is not familiar with the Delphi case, this is the two girls, Libby and Abby, who were on the bridge and one of them started recording as somebody supposedly told them to get down the hill. Their bodies were found down the hill. Clothes were found in the river. Years later, years later, this guy who was cooperating with them, he was like, yeah, I was in the area. He didn't think anything of it, is suddenly being charged. And there's just a lot of things behind this case that don't make sense on whether or not they got the right person. Recently, now this case is still waiting to go to trial, but it ended up in the Supreme Court a couple of days ago. And the reason for it is because, like I said, there is crazy stuff with this case. His attorneys were forced to be off the case because somebody who wasn't part of the defense but was working with the defense leaked some crime scene photos, and the judge basically was like, either you guys get off the case or I'm going to do something publicly to make you guys off the case. So it was kind of like a threat, blackmail kind of thing. Forced his attorneys off the case. Then they put him in a prison where, mind you, He has not been convicted, but they put him in prison, not jail. He's not waiting for trial in jail. He is in prison. Yes, they were buried by a tree. That's the one. They stuck him in prison. He started to deteriorate. Always kept saying he was not guilty, he was not guilty. Then all of a sudden, some inmates started writing letters to the state saying, listen, we're watching him be abused. He's being tortured by inmates. He's being tortured by guards. At the same time that those letters hit the state, all of a sudden he's making phone calls to his families admitting what he did. Nobody believes that these admissions of guilt are even real because it coincides with the time that he's being tortured. Long story short, it went up to the Supreme Court like 2 days ago. I did stream it live. And the Supreme Court was like, listen, you guys, if he has the right to defend himself, if he wants to, he could say, I don't want an attorney. I want to defend myself, right? If he has that right, having zero knowledge of the legal field, then he has the right to choose who he wants to be on his team. Then they were saying, okay, well, if we bring the attorneys on, should we order that he has to pay or there should be a fee exchange? And they were like, no, you can't order whether it has to be done for free, forcing his new attorneys to be pro bono, or forcing them to charge him a certain amount. That's not even ethical. Ultimately, the Supreme Court was like, you know what? He gets to choose his attorneys. So his attorneys are coming back on the case. They did not agree to remove the judge, so he still has the same judge. But he's got his attorneys back, and these attorneys are working their butt off for him. They came up with all kinds of theories and different things. They have found evidence to suggest basically that he's not the one who did this. So I don't know if they have the wrong man. Something is telling me that something about this case is not sitting right. There are other people who the detectives admitted made statements like, oh, I can explain why my DNA is on the girls. But those people are nowhere to be found. So again, this case is crazy. There's so much to get into. Again, in my link, my drive is every single court document that was finally released. That's the other thing. They try to put this case under seal. They wanted the public to see none of it. They finally won. It was actually somebody from the media who took the courts to court to say that this is a matter of public interest. They had no right to seal the records. So all of the records were released. They are in my drive, as well as the appeal stuff that was there. And then like maybe an hour ago, I uploaded the final ruling that said the Supreme Court ruled in his favor. So, yeah, I want to hear the rest of that recording. There's only this snippet that they keep saying says get down the hill. But honestly, it could be saying anything. It just, when somebody suggests, it's kind of the power of suggestion. If somebody says this is what you're hearing and you listen to it over and over expecting to hear that, you guys know by looking at things on the internet or listening to things on the internet that if they say read this as you're hearing this, that's what you hear. And if they have you read something else while listening to it, other people hear that. So the fact that we have been told what it says and the wording is constantly there when they're playing the recording, people are going to hear get down the hill. When you step back and don't just listen to the recording in and of itself without any of that, you begin to question what you're hearing. Thank you, G. So again, you guys can go to the drive. You can see all of that. Now, the last one before we get to the long one is, there's been no updates on the Treviso case. There's been no updates on the Avila case. But there was something on the Soto case. I'm going to pull that up for you guys. Oh, and then the other case, the 3 guys. We can't forget that one. Let me do the Soto one real quick, just so you guys can see that. A lot of people have already covered this. I was kind of taking a break, hanging out with the bestie this week, staying snowed in together, so I haven't really posted anything. But just so you guys can see it. Oh, that's kind of blurry. It's a little blurry because it is an image. Can I play? Yeah. You want me to play the recording? Yeah. Give me a minute and I'll find it. Let's go ahead and do this real quick. This is the Soto and Matthew Guerra case. And it basically says, I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit more. So this is the original report. It says that at the listed time and date, I was dispatched to the above address by an officer. Nope, it was for an officer in trouble call, which is weird because that's should not have been the call. I arrived on scene and assisted the Leon Valley PD officers with crowd control. Oh, okay, that's why it was an officer in trouble. So I guess the crowd was kind of getting a little antsy. They were then informed that victim 1 is a missing person that was reported missing by Leon Valley. Today, Leon Valley PD received a phone call for a woman who identified herself as the sister-in-law to Savanah. They advised Leon Valley PD that the vehicle, the listed vehicle that they were looking for, was parked at this location. The PD case number, they have it blacked out. Leon Valley officers arrived. They made contact with the vehicle. At the time, there were multiple family members at the location, so the officer called for assistance. Shortly, let me see if I can move this over a little bit. Nope. That's not what I wanted to do. There. Okay. That way you guys could see it better. Shortly after my cover officers and I arrived, EMS arrived and they broke the driver's side window. So now we got an explanation on the window. A lot of people were arguing with me that that window was not broken. I knew that window was broken, but it was broken by EMS. So they arrived, they broke the driver's side window to open the door to the vehicle and to check on Savanah and Matthew. Savanah was pronounced deceased at 4:23, and it says S1. That's supposed to be suspect 1. That's wrong. That's supposed to be victim 2. Was pronounced deceased by EMS at 4:24. Shortly thereafter, homicide unit obtained the search warrant for the vehicle and processed it for evidence. Once the doors to the listed vehicle were open, they observed Savanah in the passenger seat with her head facing the passenger side window with blood coming from her nose. She appeared to be pregnant. Matthew was located in the second row behind the driver's seat. The back was facing the left passenger door, and his legs were facing the right passenger door, and his pants were down to his knees. So, yeah, it's a little confusing, but ultimately what they're saying is that there was also in there that they both appeared. There was no firearm found in the vehicle. There's also conflicting dates as to what people are saying. They saw the vehicle parked in the back parking lot. Once on scene, advised me that they were both shot in the back of the head. And then the case numbers. So a lot of people, so remember what I was telling you guys from the get-go, that a lot of times when it comes to family members, they're desperate for answers. And so any information that starts to come out of this that sounds reasonable, people run with it. And it has nothing to do with them. It has to do with the rumors that are being passed around. And people in the family just desperate for some sort of answers. 100% understandable. This is where we got the information that they were both shot behind the right ear. According to this, it seemed to be the back of the head. And again, right ear or behind the right ear, that could also be the back of the head. It kind of confirms a little bit about what we talked about last time on the live, that Matthew first, I'm going to say Matthew first, but Matthew was in the back of the head, Savanah probably looking in this direction. I'm not buying that Matthew, that they did this to Matthew outside of the vehicle. And the reason for that is because if it's in the back of the head, he probably would have had to have been, told him to get on the ground or whatever the case may be. After he did that to Matthew, there was no broken windows. So if Savanah was still in the vehicle, either one of two things: she would have locked the door, trying to get away, or unlocked the doors, trying to get out. There doesn't seem to be any evidence of that. So this just kind of confirms that this took place inside the vehicle. That is, so that's basically the only updates when it comes to the Savanah and Matthew case. Now, we are going to go into our 3 guys. We all remember the guys that were found deceased, Kansas City, Missouri, in the backyard. I do have a correction to make. Not necessarily. Let me go back. DGS, not necessarily. So a lot of people think that bullets go through and through, and they really don't. Full Metal Jackets usually do, but you're talking about the skull, where you would have bone impact, brain, and then bone. There would have been some blowback in the back, but it would not. The chances of it going through, especially with the type of ammo that they usually use, which are not Full Metal Jackets, they're kind of cut. Trying to be careful exactly what I say when it comes to TikTok. But the type of ammo that they used is designed to break apart. And so you're not going to see that at all. 99%, you know what? Let me not say 99%. 90% sure that this was not an FMJ, which we call a Full Metal Jacket. It was a hollow point. Again, hollow points, they have these little cuts in the tip of the ammo. And so they kind of break apart once they're inside. They're meant to do the maximum damage. They're not through and throughs. So no, we wouldn't have seen anything go through on the other side. But, okay, so the 3 guys. Kansas City, Missouri. My first correction that I need to make is that the house that we discussed on the last live was the house next door, not the house that they lived in. We were looking at, I think it was 5216, and it was 08. Either way, it doesn't make too much of it doesn't make a significant difference when it comes to the layout of the house, because the layouts are very similar. It's just the garage was on one side versus the other side. Now the back, the porch on this house is a covered porch, which is, so it's a little strange if somebody was found covered with snow under that porch. That part just kind of doesn't really make much sense. Now, let me read to you guys. He has an attorney. The guy who owns the house has an attorney, and this is what they're saying. Kansas City police said the 3 men were found after a woman went searching for her fiance. According to the attorney, okay, I'm just going to read to you guys the same thing, the whole thing. The man living at the home, Willis, was close friends with the 3 men who were found, and he had nothing to do with their deaths. Let's scroll down. He had no knowledge that they remained in his backyard or that they needed medical attention. Willis does not know the timing, manner of deaths, or when they left the house. According to the attorney, the last time Willis saw the 3 men was when they left the house and he went to bed. That's weird. If they left the house, how did they end up in the backyard? I don't understand that. But what what the attorney and him is saying is that the cars were not parked on the side like we actually thought. The cars were parked in the street. And with the cars being parked in the street, he wouldn't have seen them. And he said even if he did, it was not unusual for his friends to leave the cars there and I guess maybe Uber home. So it wasn't unusual for, after they were partying, drinking, hanging out, watching a game, that the cars would stay there for a day or so. He says that there were no text messages. There were no phone calls from any of the family members. There was a message, Facebook Messenger, from the fiance, but he didn't see those messages until after the police department had already contacted him. That's when he noticed the messages. He said apparently there were 2 people who came to the home, but he didn't hear anything when they came to the home because he was sleeping. He had the fan running and he sleeps with earbuds or something in his ears. So he said he never heard the phone calls. He was cooperating. He didn't notice the vehicles. And even if he did, it wouldn't be anything that would have been like, wait, their vehicles are still here. None of that. Again, the police are reiterating that this is not a foul play investigation. They already got the preliminary back. So the autopsies have been done. They're waiting for the full report. I'm pretty sure the police have already gotten the preliminary results of that report. And they are still putting it out there that this is not a foul play investigation. So could they have been intoxicated? It got really cold and they passed out outside. It is very possible. The carbon monoxide, not if they were outside. Diane, I don't see that, because if they were still conscious enough to walk outside, then they would have been getting fresh air. And then him being inside, it wouldn't have made any sense that he survived and he was actually indoors. So again, what's not making any sense to me is that the attorney said the last time he saw them was when they left the house. Did he think maybe, did they go out in the backyard and use the gate? Because remember, they wouldn't have went through the front door and then came around the back, because according to the fiance, she had to basically break in because she couldn't open the gate because it was locked from the other side. Unless they were able to reach over and do that. Again, I don't know. That doesn't make any kind of sense to me, but who knows? Hey, light skin, how are you? So, yeah. All right. We are going to move on to what everybody is waiting for. BSC and the craziness. So, I was trying to kind of link my Android to this live thing, but it wasn't working. So, everything backs up to my drive. So, let's get into it. Yes, let's get into it. There you go. All right. Let me pull up some pictures here so we know what we are getting into. We are going to start with, I don't even know. Y'all, it's so crazy. Yesterday, these crazy girls put out a video. And apparently in the video, they're claiming that I'm losing my mind, which, and like anybody's going to believe that. And I'm getting desperate because I was blowing up Temu Tiffany's phone, apparently from a 270 burner number. First of all, I'm going to show you what's funny about this. Let me go ahead and loop you guys into this image here. Let's go to, let me end this one. And here we go. Okay. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger. Oh. I guess that works. Okay. So this is supposedly my burner number that at 7:26 in the morning I was blowing up Tiffany's phone. Notice that they won't put the number here, because let me tell you guys, we would be calling this number live right now. Okay. Carrie, this is the baby Ariana daycare case. My main number is not from Kentucky. Okay. I fully admitted to you guys that I do have a second line, which is a business line. It's for the 10th Woman Media that I have not hid. It is public. They have my number because they were blowing up my phone. And we released all those messages. So this number, it says Hickman, Kentucky, which I had to look that up. Apparently it's like 5 hours to the west side. I think it was like 5 hours to the west. Okay. Yeah, she's just mad because I called her out on all her BS, yes. So this is that. Then, I guess there's some more stuff here. This is what, I got a kick out of this. Apparently, this is me sending a text message saying, Tiffany, you really don't know what you're getting yourself into. A bit of legal advice. Now, she's getting that because of what I said because I had sent her a message that said that I don't repeat myself. Okay, so to put this out here again, thinking like I actually write like this, whatever. A bit of legal advice. Back off now before you end up with legal action against you. You and Psycho. Look at how they spelled Psycho, first of all. Okay, just an FYI, one of my degrees that I have is an English major. Okay, I have a degree in English. I know how to type. You won't find me sending a message like this. You and Psycho and Alien, first of all, yeah, I'm really big. Anybody who knows me knows I'm really big on punctuation and commas, and that actually drives me crazy. And it's misspelled. All need to just stop with the BS and move on with your lives. First of all, I don't threaten people with court action. Okay? That's just a bunch of silly games that I don't have time for. I don't make threats. I don't always show my hand. If I'm coming after you, you won't know it. I'm not going to be like, oh, stop. This whole threatening with legal action is a total Alexandra Tiffany thing. That is all they do. So, you see, Brittany gets it. She gets my obsession with punctuation. It's so bad that apparently teenagers nowadays don't use punctuation. And if you put a period at the end of a sentence, they think they're in trouble and it means something really god awful, except it doesn't. It's just a period. But yeah, these people apparently think that this is how I write. And they tried really, really hard. They tried. But again, they never posted the number. Why? Because it's not mine. But by all means, call it live. Because if I had any numbers or fake numbers that were linked to my phone, you would get my voicemail. So, yeah. Thank you. Okay. Lynn, actually, you know what, Lynn? I did not even catch that. I don't call her Tiffany. I call her Timu. Timu Tiff or Tiff. I call her Timu. That is my Timu BSE. I've been, lately kind of coming out of it calling Alexandra. But that, no. If I was going to send some crazy stuff to you, I would be calling you Timu. You know what? And then they keep saying that they filed charges. I put in the group that I dare her. Dare her. I am calling Tiffany out right now. I dare you to file charges based on these messages. I dare you to file charges based on this, that I'm calling you and harassing you and stalking you. I dare you. Put your money where your mouth is and file the charges. God, I would love for her to do that. But I'm going to tell y'all what, she's not going to do it. And if she did, she'd be the most stupidest person on the face of the earth. Because it's so easy to track that. So easy. Timu Mama. So easy. So you guys all know they are not going to file. And if somebody was blowing up my phone like that, and I really didn't want to hear it, and mind you, they're supposedly filing charges for every little thing. Every time I talk, every live, every whatever. Okay? If that's the case, then why haven't they filed charges on this? And I'll tell you why. Because they know that they will be arrested for filing a false police report. Okay. Sorry that dropped out. In an emo commercial. So, that's just one, okay? Let's keep going. So much BS here. So that was their first attempt at, mind you, nobody was talking about them. We were really truly taking a break. So I thought that was hilarious when somebody sent me that and was like, oh, apparently you're losing your mind and been calling Timu. That is the last person that I would be sitting here going back and forth with. Trust and believe. They are so insignificant. It's not even funny when it comes to that. All right, let's go to the next one. I think this is today. I made a video.
Melinda Cologne, she's
Okay, I'm going to explain this video before I put you guys on it, okay? This video here is Alexandra is claiming that I was out there spreading that she worked at a strip club and that she took her daughter there. Anybody who knows, anybody who's been in the group knows that that never came from me. It started in the group, and the only time it was mentioned by me was when she was coming at me. We were going back and forth, and I basically was like, well, at least I don't do this. That was it. I've been very careful not to spread that rumor on my page because I could not back it up. And now she's claiming in this recording that the police have wasted resources. There's a screenshot where she was saying they have wasted all these resources. I made them waste resources by spreading false information. What you're going to hear is her claim, them going to the club, saying it's not true, yada, 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 whatever. And then you're going to hear a recording between me and the police department where the very first time they reached out to me was to ask about the strip club thing. And I made it very clear to them, because I'm not one to waste anybody's time, that I felt that this was people out there just trying to maybe put her in a bad light or come back and forth, and that it was not verifiable. There was no way I could prove it, which is why I was careful not to put it out there. And I had nothing to back it up. People were saying there were photos. I personally have not seen them. I put that out there, sent it to police. So you guys are going to hear all of that because, they're just, I don't know what kind of narrative they're trying to spin, but let's go ahead and play it. Let me put you guys onto it and mute the microphone so it doesn't echo.
Went to the extent to make extensive lies on my name that PD had to waste resources to investigate. PD, sheriffs, people on my team went, and they were all told the same thing. I have never worked there, let alone bring a child there. And that they told them all the same thing, which we will be attaching the video for.
Alexander Day McClure. We were told that she had worked here and brought her 2-year-old daughter into the club.
Oh no.
She's never lived here.
And also, Melinda had stated, that she had video footage of me or pictures of me at the strip club with the baby on Sunday, because that's what the Estradas were trying to push. And then when that got disproven by the detective also, they tried to say that they at least said that one time. No, you said it and went along with it, and you caused more damage to my reputation for your lies that are proven wrong, and now you're mad.
How are you doing, ma'am? This is Detective Hernandez, El Paso Police.
Yes.
Do you have a few minutes?
Yes.
I know I'm calling private because I tried calling you long distance, but it wasn't going through. But my ID is 3. Call and verify if it is me.
Okay.
Okay. But I do. So I have been following social media, and I'm investigating the Ariana case.
Okay.
I have been in contact with Joelle, and the family did provide me your number. You have intel from people messaging you about a strip club.
Yeah. So I do.
Uh-huh.
I don't. People have been messaging me about 2 different strip clubs.
Okay.
I don't know if the information is correct. People do like to talk. They like to throw things out there. Right. I know that she did admit, and I don't want to have to put it out there in order to get it, but people in the group they'll send me usually whatever I ask for. But she did admit that she had her birthday party at a strip club, but that she's saying publicly that her daughter wasn't there.
Okay.
I don't know. Like I said, this is, how it is. People want to say anything to attack each other. As you could tell, it's just been a big back and forth thing.
Yeah, it's a mess. Okay.
So there's really no evidence. There's no proof that that's really true, which is why I've sustained from really diving deep into it, because nobody's been able to actually provide me concrete proof that it occurred.
Mm-hmm.
Melinda Cologne, she's...
Okay. So, again, recordings, proof. They keep saying that, by the way, side note, at DGS Design, she is in the comments. That shirt, both of those shirts came from her. So you guys check her out. She made both of those. I absolutely love them. They are just life, and they will be my little cover thing every time I need to do recording. So, but anyway, so as you guys can tell, they are claiming that I was wasting PD resources by trying to spread this narrative, when clearly in my very first conversation with PD, which is why they called me, was because of the whole strip club thing, I made it very clear that I could not publicly confirm. I have not seen the pictures. We were trying to find out if they existed. But fit in. So I'm frozen. Sorry, I was frozen. Okay, I'm back. As I was saying, she was trying to say that I was spreading this, and obviously I made it very clear with the PD from day one that I could not confirm any of this information. So it's actually not, it's not the Starlink. It's actually the computer. You know what? I'm going to do a quick screen share. I'm going to show you guys something real quick. Display capture. Okay, can you guys see this? This is what TikTok Live looks like. On the very top here, there's a CPU, memory, upload, and frame drops. Your CPU, my computer and my memory have everything to do with my upload when it's a computer. So even though the internet may be good, the computer will drop. It'll have these frame drops. It'll have all these frame per second. It's just a whole big complicated technology thing, and it's just stupid. So I can usually tell when it's going to drop, and I won't talk. I'll actually stop until it comes back up so you guys don't miss anything. Yeah, so that was the first thing. Again, they're trying to say, put out all this crap. Melinda's doing this, Melinda's doing that. And there are the receipts. Never put it out there, made it very clear from day one that this is not something that could be proven, that these were rumors. And I let the PD know that I thought this was just somebody trying to get at her. Despite the fact that I couldn't stand the girl, and I could care less. Did we go along with it? In other words, when people said it, did I ever correct them? Absolutely not. I could care less how she looks in the public. I don't care if somebody wants to put out there that she brought her daughter to a club. I don't care. Let them think that. It is not my job to defend her. It was never my job to make sure that she looked a certain light, except that the only thing I was here to do was to prove that she was accusing the wrong person. And you know what, guys? Y'all are about to hear something that is going to piss her off. It's going to piss a lot of people off. Again, I promise not to put a lot of stuff out there, but y'all are going to hear for yourselves. She knew that Joel was innocent. She knew that he was accounted for. She was already told. I've always liked true crime stuff. She's asking how long I've been following crime stories. I've always liked it. I fall asleep to a police scanner. I grew up in a household with police officers. I married a police officer. So I've always been into the true crime thing, watching investigative discovery and all this stuff most of my life. I studied law. I went to law school, the whole 9 yards. I started doing the true crime TikTok thing with the Alexi Treviso case. That's how I initially got into it. And this all started when basically Savanah brought the story to me and she was like, something's not sitting right. How does this happen in a hospital while a person's getting medical care? And that kind of just took off from there. So, the police scanner again. Savanah knows I was sitting in her house falling asleep with the police scanner, and randomly you'll hear it go off, beep, beep, and all this other kind of stuff. So yes, I don't know. I heard it my whole life growing up. So yeah. All right. So while DGS Design is getting her shirt game on, you go girl. We're going to move on to something that they're not going to like. And I know they're recording. Listen, I know Iris is here. I know Timu's here. We know BSC's on here. We know they're all watching. For all I know right now, they've probably already... thank you, G. They've probably already started reaching out to EPPD, and they're already screen recording, and they're waiting for this, and they're going to be like, oh, she put this and this out. Let's go back real quick. They put out a recording. I'm going to play that one first before I play mine. This recording they put out they're claiming it is a neighbor of Joel's, and the person is just rambling. I'm going to tell you what doesn't make sense about this recording. We have heard her on recordings. She doesn't know how to shut up. She likes to interrupt. She constantly, no, but this. Oh, I know. Yeah, but this. So how do you have a 10-minute recording where she doesn't say anything? yeah, I'm not buying that nonsense. So let's find it. I screen recorded it here somewhere. Oh, here they are.
You know,
I'm not going to play the whole thing. We're not going to do all this time.
I was actually surprised how calm you were when you approached them that day. I told my wife, I'll probably be the one in prison. So, they can say whatever they want, but, you approach the situation really calm and, really professional or whatever, there's nothing they can say against that. Now, little girl, you could do something like this, or being the mom, you could cover something like this. I don't know. I tell my wife, because my wife is like, what if they didn't do it? And I'm like, what if that person didn't do something? But at the same time, you look.
It's just, I've only played a snippet of that to show you guys how weird and crazy all of this is. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish by this. Saying that somebody, apparently it's a conversation with somebody that are talking about him going to Walrus. It's nobody even credible. It's nobody verifiable. For all we know, it's one of her friends and they did some sort of voiceover. Who knows? Who cares? Honestly, this is just one of their many crazy antics that they're doing. But I am going to get you guys to the part that you guys really want. All right, let me go find it. Jovi, you're finally getting what you want. Partially. You can't be, And then we're going to go into a bunch of, I was sent a crap load of screenshots, apparently. They are over here talking about that I'm being arrested or I'm being charged for leaking the baby's medical records. If anybody has been here from the time of the Alexi Treviso case, yes, I leaked those records without Alexi or her mother or her attorney's permission. Nobody in that family gave me permission to leak those records, but I did. I can't violate HIPAA. I wish people would just get that through their head. I do not fall under HIPAA. Yes, I leaked. Matter of fact, Ariana's medical records are still under a link. Fully accessible and downloadable for anybody who wants them. I can't violate HIPAA. And for her to think that she could press charges on me, they keep saying that there's a case pending. No, there's not. I'm going to show you guys that too. Let's get into this recording real quick.
Messages, please. Yes. I think.
Let me get to the good part. Hold on.
Okay.
Give me a minute, guys. It's loading.
I think now with him being on KTSM, I'm going to see if we can push.
Okay. Let's start here. So basically they're talking about one thing that Alexandra and her crazy little lackeys, I'm actually going to do this from my phone. One thing that her crazy little lackeys keep talking about is the fact that I tried to blackmail the PD into releasing a statement and they refused. No, that is not how that, first of all, you can't blackmail anybody when it comes to law enforcement. It was called professional courtesy. And they kept asking me to be patient. Patient. Just hold off. And you guys were all on this ride with me. Everybody remembers where I kept wanting to do something and I was like, I can't. Because I kept being promised that they were going to release a statement. And you know what? Y'all are just going to hear it for yourself.
I think you helped out the Joel's family like a lot, honestly. Because I don't think if he would have like popped up anywhere, he would have continued getting slammed on social media and stuff. So
yeah, and there's other messages like. Hold on, let me get to the.
Patient with us, and I'm gonna see what they tell me today.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm not gonna respond. They see what after she's been told that he's been. Hold on. Yeah, because I'm not going to respond. They see what she's doing even after she's been told that he's been, that he was accounted for, and now she's doing this and she's making it even bigger. That hopefully, and that he's been on the news, that maybe now they'll do something.
Yeah, so that's, I go in right now, so we did discuss it a little yesterday, but we had no idea that he was going to come out on the KTSM. So I'm going to ask what we can put out.
And he's going to be doing KVIA as well.
Shoot, okay. When is that one, do you know?
I don't know. The KVIA, she's wanting to do the workers especially.
Yeah.
Let's get past that.
Okay. Like, I've been we tell her, like, she's not nonstop on this case since it came in, and it's taken a toll. So, I know, regardless, whatever we tell her, like, she's not ever going to be happy, I don't think.
No.
By yourself?
Good. Here's another one.
Good. I don't know if Joel contacted you, but I let him know about the PIO stuff.
This is about the public information officer stuff.
Doing that. Right, but he says that if media, whatever the outcome is, I don't.
This is them again talking about her not being.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think no matter what we tell.
Again?
Whatever the outcome is, I don't think she's ever going to accept it or be happy with whatever we tell her, so.
But I don't understand why she was already told. She was already told about it, and she's going harder. I mean, does she think that it's going to change what you told her? I don't know.
I don't know. I think it's more like, from what what she said, and, the post is the whole bathroom incident. Because, of course, yes, there's no cameras because the law doesn't allow that. That's, that's
right.
a no-no. So I think that's the only thing. And, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, before that, it wasn't the bathroom incident. Before it was that Joel changed her.
Yeah, it was.
And then
and that's what it's going to happen. Yeah.
Every single time.
But she's always going to find something, so I don't know. I try to see what I can put out, and unfortunately we can't release anything but that. Yeah, and I know, like, they've told me, like, okay, like, not to get involved, but
remember, they don't talk to me.
People are reaching out to you, so you have, like, good info. So that's like, and I know I shouldn't, like, share stuff, like, with you or even, like, Joel or, Fabi, but I mean, I don't know, it's just.
I mean, I know.
And real quick, I did receive the Facebook search warrant back.
You guys heard it. So basically what's been said is that she's been told that he was in the clear, but no matter what, she's not going to be happy. She's always going to spin something different. First it was the bathroom incident, and before it was the bathroom incident, it was supposedly that he changed her. She would always spin a story because nothing that they tell her is going to make her happy. Nothing. She wants it her way, and that's it. Remember, I don't get talked to. Nobody spoke with me. She was never supposedly told. He was not cleared. You just heard them say that, especially now that with the media reports that she was trying to push for the public information officer to put something out. They didn't want to put anything out. Again, they're not the ones who made him a suspect. She did. So it wasn't their responsibility to clear him, but you guys heard it for yourselves. So you know what? At this point, I don't know what their end game is. I've always say this. I always say I don't know what the end game is, but I do know what the end game is. She wants her image, as you heard her own voice, that I have supposedly ruined her reputation. What reputation? Nobody knew who you were before this. So I don't know what reputation she's talking about, but she created a reputation. She gave herself a reputation when she did all the craziness. Investigation is closed, means Joel shot in daycare have been cleared. Yeah, she's not letting it rest. They are now putting it out there that this is the other thing. DCBS or DCF or whatever DHR, it's a different name everywhere, doesn't investigate daycares. Come on now. There is, let me see if I can show you guys this one here. Where is the message? When I say there was like, on Giovanna's marked safe from the 10th woman, they have so many messages out there. Here's one saying that people, I think they're trying to say Maritza or somebody is scared. Come on, as nobody is scared of Timu or Alex. She says, you won't do anything if you saw her in person, though. You're too scared to stand up to Melinda. You definitely won't. FW or Mama Bear. I could say the same about Melinda. She needs all the support for her deflecting her guilt on other moms. Y'all, I don't even know what's going on there, honestly. It's just a bunch of ridiculous craziness that people are afraid to stand. Why would anybody stand up to me? I'm not the one out there threatening people. I mean, seriously. There's another one here that we, oh God. What is it that enjoy my charges, enjoy my CPS stuff? I'm like, what? First of all, they supposedly, remember, we had CPS coming to my house 3 months ago. That never happened. I'm still waiting for those CPS workers to get here. I'm waiting for the marshals to get here. I'm waiting for the PD to get here. Oh, wait a minute. And there is pending cases. Let's look those up, y'all. We're going to do this together. Let me get out of, yep, here we go. Here we go. Hope you guys can see this. So, EP, let's start with the civil case because she's taking me to court. So, there should be a civil case here, right? Under my name. Damn. No cases matched my search criteria. Well, I guess I don't have a civil case. Let's go back to the search menu. Maybe I have a criminal case. I don't know. Let's see. Damn. No matches match my search criteria. I don't know. Yeah, we are talking about BSE. So apparently, there's my, that was my criminal case search. That was my civil case search. Let me see. Let's look at some of these messages because they didn't back up. They're on my phone, though. Actually, they're not. They were sent to me. Oh, geez, y'all. There's a lot of them here. Let's see. First of all, I guess they were trying to say Cry Me a River. This is somebody claiming to be a cousin of baby daddy. Okay? He says, cry a wolf. Dish it out, can't handle. Too bad, too sad. Huh? Even I'm a little bit confused by that one. Cry a wolf? Okay. Guess we're going to cry a wolf. Your attempts crashed and burned, each and every one, like you defrauded the system for $200. I don't even know what the hell that means. And again, Joey's like, cry wolf. Okay. Now they're talking about our Dr. Phil episode. Love the Dr. Phil episode. We've been scamming people for years. You and Melinda, people in El Paso aren't sheep. You've never been here to speak. They keep referring to a Dr. Phil episode where we took down a scammer. Make that make sense? Yeah, I mean, I don't understand gibberish, but, okay. They're saying that I said I have pictures, which I never said. Let's see. There's something about me having charges. Oh, here it is. They've debunked all of the lies. Even April's aware of the suit on Melinda, but deny is all you do and it's getting exposed, big girl. Okay, we just saw that there was no suit. We just looked up the cases ourselves. There is nothing there, but apparently they're claiming that there is. Who's debunking what? Here's the other one. I didn't get consent from Francisco and Alexandra. They both stated that charges are filed. Melinda is aware. Right. Got it. Apparently I'm aware. Can't find them, but apparently I'm aware that there's charges for releasing medical records because I violated HIPAA and I can't violate HIPAA. So there's that. Let's see. Melinda stated she spoke with Hernandez, and her boss said they didn't know who she was and never released any info. We have proof. I'm sorry, did y'all hear the same recordings I heard? Again, apparently they don't know who I am. The police department does not know who I am. And they've never spoken to me, and they've never told me anything, despite the fact that you guys heard them actually say, we shouldn't be talking to you, but you have good info. I don't know. I'm just saying. Who's the liar? Again, they want her reputation to be cleared, but how do you clear your reputation when you keep making up and putting out nonsense that is so easily disproven? She really is trying hard to come at me. She is really trying to, I don't know, they're obsessed at this point. Severe obsession. All she actually wants is for me to put out actual videos. And I don't know if you guys have noticed that we do these lives, but I have not actually posted a video and a bunch of videos referring to that. And I'll tell you why. By doing that and leaving videos on my page, they get views and views. And then when people comment and they start fighting, it kind of goes through this algorithm. And then 100 views turns into 1,000, turns into 10,000, and so on and so forth. That is what she wants. She wants videos out there that have 10 or 15, 20,000 views. Listen, this girl, Iris, alien girl, came onto my live and typed in a message saying, before I got muted, I went ahead and got people to start coming over here and was able to redirect people to my page. No, honey, you got what? A couple hundred views? Nobody cares. Nobody was redirected. Nobody was like, oh, let's go like this page and let's start following, honey. So I don't know what she thinks she accomplished, but that's what they want. They want me to make these videos so that way that is exactly what would happen. And I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it. We will do this on the lives, but having actual videos that people can go back and then link back to her, it's not even worth it. She's not getting that much attention. And I'm not about to give it to her on a video that would get thousands and thousands of views. So that way they can go ahead and try to transition people over there. And for what? Because nobody wants to hear about drama between baby mama, baby daddy, ex-girlfriend. Nobody cares. The only thing that originally people cared about was whether or not this child was assaulted and where it happened. And now that the daycare has been cleared, the only thing they have is all this other drama. But you know what they're trying to do since it's not working? They're now trying to reopen the gossip on the daycare. They are now trying to put him back out there, talk about the Juarez thing, talk about stuff that doesn't make, and it's not getting any traction. It's not, because we all know that it's lies. And unfortunately, yeah, she's going to continue to collect money, and they're doing all of this based on lies. And it's sad. Here's another comment. Melinda attempted to blackmail to get them to make a statement for Joelle, and they didn't. Nobody was blackmailing anybody. And we got to love the fact that they had nothing else, so they decided to come in on Giovanna's daughter again and start talking about that she has a disabled daughter and that she needs to take... It's just a bunch of nonsense. Listen, again, they also don't know where she lives because she keeps telling them she doesn't live in Florida. But they're sitting here saying, well, anybody who could do a postal search knows that knows how to do this, and we just checked and we just confirmed you're in Florida. And she keeps telling them I'm not in Florida. Listen, I just drove to her house, spent 5 days snowed in, and drove back home. She's not in Florida. But you keep going with that. Matter of fact, why don't you go ahead and send somebody over to her house in Florida? Just go ahead and show it. Go knock on the door. Maybe you'll get a picture of her kids or something. Just go right on over there. Yes, the daycare can, the daycare can press charges for stalking and harassment. And just depending on the level that they're going to go. At this point, I could if I wanted to, but it's not even worth my time. For what? I don't care. They're not going to be the first people to stalk and harass me based on a case, and they're not going to be the last. Been there, done that. It's been happening since the Alexi Treviso case, so I don't care. They can get them for libel, slander, tortious interference with contract. There's all this stuff that they could sue them for, but it's not a criminal thing. It's a civil thing. So they would have to file the paperwork and all this other kind of stuff. And sometimes it's just not worth the hassle. But it would be in order to get something that basically says that she get an order for her to not be able to speak about them anymore. I'll tell you what would work in order of protection, because inside an order of protection, there is something written in there that says that they can't make social media remarks and different things like that. She could try to get that on me, but it's not going to work because I don't even fall under there. I don't even know what, because of a lot of reasons. I'm not even going to get into that. But Joel and his family do live in El Paso, and they could get an order of protection based on all of this stuff. That they can do. And then anybody who comes out and says anything, even on her behalf, they can get into legal trouble. Apparently, they think that that's what I'm doing. They're trying to say that I violated her order of protection because I'm still speaking. But yet in the same sentence, they claim that I don't even talk to baby daddy or any of them. So it doesn't make any sense. But Joel can go ahead and do that. If Timu or Alien Girl or BSC come out and start talking crap because they're all doing it on Alexandra's behalf, then yes, they can. She can actually be arrested and charged with violating the no contact order for anything that somebody else puts out against them on her behalf. Who has the baby? The baby is back with her. The baby is back with Ariana. I mean, with Alexandra. Baby daddy brought the baby to her on Christmas Eve, trying to kind of work things out and the only reason, let's just clarify why the baby went back. You guys remember for the last 4 months, after they cleared the daycare, they had to try to figure out if in fact anything happened to baby Ariana. If it did it happen in the month? Where did it happen if anything happened? The only plausible solution is if it didn't happen in the daycare and this was a Monday, then it had to have happened sometime over the weekend or before when baby was with mom, because mom is claiming that the baby wasn't with anybody but her. So they steered their investigation that way. It's taken them 4 months now to finally clear her. He found out right before Christmas that the investigation was closed and that mom was no longer a subject. Nothing happened. It didn't happen in mom's care. If there was anything, basically it was done. So at this point, he was like, okay, so if mom didn't do anything and nothing happened to Ariana or nothing happened while baby Ariana was there, then I need to try to work things out and reopen this door of communication for my daughter's sake. So he went over there to fix things. You guys keep hearing the recordings that she keeps talking about where he's saying that he's trying to fix things. This is what he's referring to. He went over there to try to fix things. All this audio that she has, this whole audio thing with her and baby daddy all occurred on one day. This all happened on Christmas Eve. The entire recording, or around that time frame, right before everything happened. And so he was trying to fix it. And so he brought the baby back to her. After he brought the baby back, he was talking to her lawyer about figuring out a way that they can come to an agreement, like a custody agreement, so one person can't use the baby against each other, so she's not a pawn. She got mad the day before the hearing, hung up the phone. The lawyers, they were all on the phone with the lawyers. When it went to court the next day, the lawyers failed to mention, and neither did Alexandra, to the courts, that they had been in negotiations. They pretended that they had no idea why Francisco wasn't at the courthouse. They don't know anything. And they got what's called a default judgment. Basically, they only heard her side of the story. She used stuff from last year. Basically, everything she said, none of it was true as recent incidents that could have actually gotten her an order of protection. But because there was nobody there to say otherwise, she was able to convince the judge that all of this stuff was ongoing. She never bothered to tell the courts that Ariana has been with her father for the 6 weeks prior to the court hearing. She left that information out. So she was able to get an order of protection for her, and one basically giving her Ariana, without the courts actually having any of the correct information. Both her and her attorney misled the court. So if this was to actually go further, he can get penalized and possibly disbarred, and she can get in a lot of legal trouble because she falsified documents and lied under oath. I wish baby daddy would do it. I don't know what he's waiting for. Maybe, he does have this case. Maybe he's waiting for the case. We're just going to have to wait to see what happened. But that's how Ariana ended up back with Alexandra, and that is why she has her now. Other than that, she wouldn't have her. Honestly, there's no way in the world that had Francisco still had Ariana in his care and he showed up at court, that a judge would have taken the child from him and given him back, because this is a custody thing, nothing would have happened. But the other thing is that he is dealing with criminal litigation with her. So she knew that he couldn't show up and talk. He knew that. She knew that. This was all just a big setup. It was garbage. Let me make sure I'm not freezing. Sorry. I'm having some frame drops, so I'm just making sure that I'm not freezing on you guys, so give me just a second. Okay. The sound is good, but the audio is glitching. I can move over to the other one since we're not using the I don't think I have anything else on my phone for you guys to hear, so I think it's good for right now. 31 going on 12. Yeah, she really is. You guys, the only desperate person here are these three. They literally have come up with this. They found another crazy person. Listen, BSC and Temu found somebody else to add onto their page. And the fact that this girl does not mind being seen in the light that she's being seen at, I guess anything to become a creator. Because she's got a Facebook page where she claims to be a digital creator. Whatever. She's trying to do the same thing on TikTok. And she's using these people to get it, but they're just making her look like a fool. I mean, this little girl, she thinks she's calling me out, and I think it's funny. They're literally kids. Timu's the only one who's not young, but by God, she acts like it. Did you get that, Temu? Because, I saw that you popped up here. It's okay, G. Comment away. Sometimes I have to go back and look at these comments because I don't see them all. So actually, I could probably do it on my phone. Oh, no, I can't go back and see those. Okay, so Emu is here. Yes. How's you guys? Okay, so for those who don't know, there is a running joke about trailer parks. And the reason for that is because they turned around and started making a series of comments in their group that I probably lived in a trailer, and it wasn't even, what they say, not even $50,000, I think was the number they put out there, that I couldn't even afford that. Apparently it's my shack. I live in a shack. Okay. And so I've been doing like a lot of lives. And so we've always been joking about my shack. Well, in the process of all of this, we had pulled up Timu's address, and Temu lives in a trailer. Again, not that there's anything wrong with that, but the problem is that you're actually coming at somebody and making it seem that living in a trailer is a bad thing, and that the trailer's not even worth X amount of dollars, and that all this other kind of stuff. They put a negative spin on it, but you live in a trailer. So make that shit make sense. How do you diss on yourself and put that on somebody else? Like, honestly, I don't understand that. That part threw me for a loop. When I saw that, I'm like, I'm sorry, wait, what? You live in a trailer, but you're coming at me talking about that it's a bad thing to live in a trailer, that I live in a trailer. They have my address. I mean, come on. I mean, they've had people threaten to show up to my house and do all sorts of things, and I'm still waiting on that one too. Maybe hers is fancy. It's actually not, but listen, right next to it, there's a little shed, a little shack. So I don't know, maybe she's staying in the shack and somebody else lives in the trailer. Based on what her own ex-stepkid said, that she's a hoarder. That the place inside, I don't know about this particular one, but when the kids lived with them, they suffered immensely. They talk about that. He came out publicly and was talking about all of the things that she did to them, the way, the emotional and mental abuse and the hoarding and the amount of cats and animals that they lived in. Basically, they were living in filth. It was really sad to hear his story for those who don't remember. If not, if you guys go into the group, you could see all of that. Lindsay Meeks, you guys, she's up here commenting. Go to her videos. She spoke with him. She's got the tea on this guy. He's now a grown man, but on everything that happened when he was a kid in Timu Tiff and his mom and their relationship and all of the tea. She's got it all. Lindsay Meeks, you guys just see her commenting. Scroll up, click on her. Add her as a friend, follow her, so that way you guys can go back and check out her videos. It was sad. Coffee cups full of roaches. Yeah. Oh God, I couldn't. It was, his experience was, it's not okay. It was abuse at its finest. But yet she is a child advocate. How are you claiming you are an advocate when you did what you did to your own wife or girlfriend? I guess it was her wife's kids. This child, yes, the child was living in this before they were finally removed from the situation. Again, Lindsay has got all the tea on it. All of it. Just so you guys, let me see if that, there you guys go. Can you see? That's the profile. Lindsay Meeks. Check her page out. She's got all the tea on that. Oh, what does my t-shirt say? It says, I will put you in a trunk and help people look for you. Stop playing with me. Let me see. You can see it better. There you go. I think she is in love with Alex. Leah, updates on the Savanah Matthew case. The only update so far was in my drive, in my Google Drive on my link, you could see the new police report, the original police report talking about what happened when they originally got out there, how the window got broken, and it talks about where their wounds are. Yes, he does. Wait a minute. And I think mom has a court hearing coming up too. Let's do a quick update on that. This is Bexar County, right? I'm looking up their cases to see if there should be indictments by now too. I don't know if you guys know that they had pre-indictments. They didn't actually have full-on indictments yet. So let's see if there is any indictments here. Pre-hearing February 20th for one of her charges. She had an attorney appointed 2 days ago on the 19th. Pre-indicted, awaiting indictment still on the 10th. That was for the alter, conceal a human corpse, tampering with evidence, still awaiting indictment on that one. When's the court date on that one? February 20th. We're looking at mom right now. And the last one, still waiting indictment. Pre-hearing set. Okay. I think they went to court just to get... Yeah. Okay, so she has an attorney now. She was appointed an attorney. Let's look for Dad. We'll do Chris last. Let's see. Still awaiting indictment. Man. Jovi, if your kid got me sick, we fighting. DA investigator, pre-hearing set. So he's got That first one, February 7th, I'm sorry. Yep. Amanda, you're right. Yeah, I don't think they can do anything. I think that's why they're not out on bond. Remember the house that they have in the other house were never probated. At least in the probate courts, it doesn't show that they were ever probated. So there's nothing they can do with that. I bet she was trying to do something at the last minute, but his other charge, February 6th, that one's still awaiting indictment as well. And now let's go to our main suspect, Chris. Still awaiting indictment. February 6th on abuse of a corpse, alter and conceal a human corpse. February 6th, he goes to court on that one. That one's still awaiting indictment as well. And the capital murder for multiple people, awaiting indictment. And that one has a pre-hearing on February 5th. So he's got the soonest case coming up, which is going to be on February 5th. They very well could. They could. It looks like there's an investigator, somebody who's asking if they're going to wait the full 90 days to charge them. They've been charged, but they have to wait for the indictments. They have pre-indictments listed as fugitives. So the way that works in Texas is the charges go over to the attorney's office, the state attorney, and then their investigators get on it. Their investigators then look at all of the information and the data and all the evidence that the police investigation put together. And then after they look at that, then they can go and get a grand jury indictment and do like the formal charges. It's a process. It's really, I know a lot of states do that. They go there and they do the formal charges, but they actually have this whole investigation side. So every state does everything different. So I don't know. What case am I most invested in or maybe most interested in? The Alexi Treviso case. That is the one I am most interested. That is the one I am most invested in. That one does not have any updates. But, hey, Sierra, but that is the one that captured my attention when I first started all of this. Oops, sorry. And that is the one that I think is not an open and shut case like everybody thinks it is. That's got a lot of stuff to it. That one, I don't think there's going to be a conviction in the manner that people think there's going to be. That is the one that I think is going to throw everybody for an uproar. That's going to be an intense, of all these cases, that's going to be intense. The second one that I think is going to be, that's going to kind of throw people off too, is the Alexis Avila case. The fact that she is out after being sentenced and is now out awaiting an appeal is very unusual, but that says that they believe she's going to get her appeal. There is no update on the mall case. The other ones don't have any, nothing else is going on. What do we just cackle at? The Ochoa case. Oh, see, Sierra, I got to go back now and see what comment. Hold up, y'all. What are we laughing at? Is it the question about true crime? Okay, I won't. I won't go back and look. Anyway, they're laughing in the comments. I have no idea what's going on, y'all, so. Am I frozen? Ooh, those frame drops. Hold up, y'all. You guys, we're going to transition to phone, okay? These frame drops are real. Okay. Hold up, y'all. Let me pop my phone in my little thingamajigger here. It's bright. Why do I feel like it's really bright? Okay. Okay, a frame drop is it basically lets me know when things are dropping. So you guys, I don't know, did anybody just notice how it started someplace and then all of a sudden it looks like I jumped frames, like I was here and then I'm trying to mimic it and it doesn't work. But I noticed it on my other phone that it was kind of like jumping. So it's dropping that frame and then it kind of jumps into another one. And that, again, that's a computer thing. This is not one of those computers that are like video gaming. It's similar to, it's a Samsung. So it's similar to like a Chromebook, like a Mac, like they're Airbooks, I guess you could say. Well, Samsung has their own, so. Am I Native American? I'm not. We were talking about that a lot, and I did my ancestry DNA because I swore up and down that I was. I was told my whole life I was, but apparently I'm not. At least not Native American. I am Taino Indian and Spaniard. So those are the bulk of my heritage or my DNA. All right. Well, the frames stopped dropping for a minute. So if they start again, we're going to transfer over to the phone. Okay, I'm going to go to questions now, y'all. And we're going to stop the recording for the YouTube.